Listen to me. Stop complaining. Stop looking at your situation and crying about what you don't have. Stop blaming your parents, your teacher, your boss, the system, the government. Stop blaming everybody but yourself. You think your complaints are going to change your life? You think whining is going to get you success? No. Winners don't complain. Winners adjust. Winners evolve. Winners grind. You don't get to choose where you started, but you sure get to choose where you finish. You may be broke now, tired now, behind now, but that's no excuse to stay where you are. You have two choices, complain or change. And I dare you to choose change. When you complain, you give your power away. You're saying, I'm not in control, but guess what? You are in control. Control your attitude, your focus, your effort. Get up and do something about your life. Be the hero of your own story. Every second you spend complaining is a second you're not working, improving, building. That's time lost, and time, you don't get that back. So what if life isn't fair? So what if it's hard? It's supposed to be hard. That's how growth happens. That's how champions are made. Stop crying and start climbing. Stop complaining and start becoming. You can complain all day long, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be in the same place. Nothing's going to change. Complaining doesn't fix anything. It doesn't make your problem smaller. It doesn't make your situation better. It doesn't create opportunities. All it does is make you feel like you're doing something when you're really doing nothing. It gives you a false sense of progress, and that's dangerous. That's a trap. You see, a lot of people spend more time talking about their problems than they do solving them. They gather people around and tell the same sad story over and over again, looking for sympathy, looking for validation. But listen to me, you don't need validation. You need victory. You don't need a pat on the back. You need a plan. You don't need people to feel sorry for you. You need to get up, get out, and get after it. Life is hard. I get it. I'm not saying your struggles aren't real. I'm not saying you haven't been through some things. I'm not saying you don't have a reason to be frustrated. But just because you have a reason doesn't mean you have permission. You do not have permission to sit in your pain forever. You do not have permission to stay stuck. You do not have permission to complain and stay the same. Either you're going to do something about it or you're going to keep talking about it. And if all you ever do is talk, don't expect anything to change. The truth is, complaining is easy. That's why most people do it. It doesn't require any effort, any sacrifice, any change. You just open your mouth and let the negativity flow. But what does that do for you? Nothing. It doesn't put money in your pocket. It doesn't get you in shape. It doesn't build your business. It doesn't fix your relationships. All it does is waste your time and drain your energy. And guess what? While you're busy complaining, somebody else is out there grinding. Somebody else is out there hustling. Somebody else is out there doing what you're not willing to do. And that's why they're going to win and you're not. You don't get points in life for complaining. Life doesn't reward people who whine. It rewards people who work. It rewards people who show up when it's hard. It rewards people who keep pushing even when they feel like quitting. So every time you feel the urge to complain, use that as a trigger, a signal that it's time to take action. That frustration you're feeling, turn it into fire. Turn it into fuel. Use it to push harder, to go further, to get better. Let your pain become your power. When you complain, you become a prisoner of your circumstances, a prisoner of your mindset, a prisoner of everything you say you hate. But when you take responsibility, when you stop talking and start doing, you become free. Free to change, free to grow, free to become who you were meant to be. That's the power of ownership. That's the power of accountability. That's the power of saying, no matter what's going wrong, I'm going to find a way to make it right. You got to stop being okay with just surviving. You've got to stop accepting average. You've got to stop using complaining as a comfort zone. Comfort zones kill dream. Comfort zones kill potential. Comfort zones kill greatness. So if you want more for your life, you've got to do more. You've got to become more. And that starts with shutting down the excuses and stepping up with action. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to hand you success. You have to go get it. You have to fight for it. You have to work for it every single day. And that work starts when the complaining stops. The moment you stop saying, oh, why me? and start saying, why me? That's when things change. That's when you tap into your strength. That's when you realize you had power all along, but you can't access that power until you let go of the blame and the excuses and the negativity. You've got to rise above it. You've got to take charge of your life. So the next time you want to complain, don't. Do something instead. Take a step. Make a move. Get in the game. Because at the end of the day, complaining doesn't change anything. Action does. You might not control where you were born. You might not control who your parents are. You might not control how much money you have. But you better believe one thing. You control your grind. You control your grind. You control how early you wake up. You control how focused you are when you show up. You control how hard you push when it gets tough. You control how much effort you put in every single day. And that's the most powerful thing you could ever own, your effort. People spend so much time worrying about what they can't control. They cry about the weather. They complain about the economy. They stress over what other people are doing. But none of that matters if you just do what you're supposed to do. You could be in the worst conditions and still win if your effort is relentless. And you could be born with every advantage, every opportunity, every connection. But if you don't give it everything you got, you will still fail. So don't come to me talking about what you don't have. Don't come to me saying you're not lucky. You don't need luck when you have hustle. You don't need perfect circumstances when you have perfect discipline. You don't need people to believe in you when you believe in yourself enough to show up. Day after day, rain or shine, tired or rested, discouraged or motivated. It doesn't matter because your effort is yours. You're not responsible for how life hits you. You're responsible for how you heal. You're responsible for how you hit back. You can't always choose to fight, but you can choose how much fight is in you. That's yours. That belongs to you. Nobody can take that from you. Not your boss, not your teacher, not your haters, not your past. That's your weapon. That's your power. That's your edge. People are always looking for a shortcut, looking for a secret, looking for some magic formula. You want the secret? Here it is. Outwork everybody. When they rest, you ride. When they give up, you go harder. When they relax, you reload. That's how champions are made. Not from talent, not from talent, not from luck, not from luck, from effort, from consistent, focused, unbreakable effort. You think people who make it to the top don't have problems. You think they don't get tired. You think they don't feel pain. So course they do. But they push through it. They don't let their feelings decide their future. They let their effort speak. They let their grind make the noise. Because they understand that what they do today, in this moment, is what separates them from the rest. You might not be the smartest. You might not be the fastest. You might not be the most talented, but you can be the most relentless. You can be the one who never gives up. You can be the one who keeps showing up when everyone else quits. That's your choice. That's your advantage. You control that. And don't confuse activity with effort. Don't tell me you're busy. I don't care how many hours you're awake. I care what you're doing with those hours. Are you getting better? Are you building something? Are you pushing your limits? Or are you just moving without direction, scrolling, drifting, wasting time? Effort means locking in. Effort means doing the uncomfortable. Effort means going deep, not just wide. It means doing that one extra rep, writing that one extra page, staying up that one extra hour to study, getting up before everyone else to work your craft while they sleep. That's the difference between average and elite. That's the gap between wishing and winning. You control your habits. You control your routine. You control what you consume, mentally, physically, emotionally. And all of that feeds into your effort. So clean it up. Cut out the distraction. Silence the noise. Get dialed in. Because the clock is ticking. A world isn't going to slow down for you to catch up. This is your life, your dream, your responsibility. And if you're waiting for someone to come give you permission, you've already lost. You don't need permission to go hard. You don't need permission to improve. You don't need permission to win. What you need is to decide. Decide that you will control what you can control and give it everything you got. Because when it's all said and done and the lights go out and the results come in, nobody's going to ask how easy your life was. They're going to look at what you did with it. They're going to see your results. Your legacy is written by your effort. So take control of it, own it, master it, live it. Life isn't fair. Let's just put that on the table right now. Life never promised you fairness. It never promised you easy. It never said everything you want on a silver platter. That's not how it works. And if you're sitting there waiting for the world to treat you right before you start grinding, before you start building, before you start becoming, you're gonna be sitting forever. Life doesn't owe you anything. Not one thing. It gave you bread. And from that moment on, the rest is up to you. You can keep complaining about what you didn't get. You can keep crying about how someone else had it easier. You can keep pointing fingers at the system, your family, your neighborhood, your past. And while you're busy doing all that, someone out there who had it just as hard as you or harder is outworking you. They're out there turning pain into purpose. They're taking the same unfair hand they were dealt and playing it like a champion. So the real question is not, is life fair? The question is, what are you going to do about it? You weren't born into wealth. Fine. Neither were most billionaires. You didn't get a loving family. That hurts, but it's not the end. You've been through trauma. Welcome to the club. Some of the most powerful people in history turned their trauma into greatness. Nobody picked you? Then pick yourself. Nobody believed in you? Then believe in yourself. You can't wait for conditions to be perfect. If you're waiting for everything to be fair before you give effort, you're never going to move. It's not supposed to be fair. That's the test. That's what separates average from elite. Fair doesn't build character. Fair doesn't sharpen your grind. Unfair builds toughness. Unfair builds fight. When life punches you in the mouth, you got two options: lay down or get up swinging. And the ones who win, they're the ones who get up. Bloody, bruised, broken, but still standing. You can't change how the game starts, but you can change how it ends. You're not trapped in your story unless you decide to stay there. You're not stuck in your situation unless you give it permission to hold you. The power is in your response. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. That's your superpower. That's what makes you dangerous. The world doesn't hand out awards for who had it the worst. There's no trophy for most tragic backstory. There's no prize for pain unless you turn that pain into purpose. You gotta be the one who says, yeah, life hit me, but I hit back. You gotta be the one who says, I didn't get the best start, but I'm gonna make the strongest finish. Because at the end of the day, it's not the circumstances, it's the choice, it's the mindset, it's the hunger. Some of y'all out here letting unfair stop you, letting the past hold you. Letting rejection freeze you. And I'm telling you, that's not your identity. That's not your end. You're bigger than what hurt you. You're stronger than what tried to break you. You've got greatness in you, but you'll never access it until you stop looking at life like a victim and start looking at it like a warrior. You want to win? Then you got to take what's unfair and flip it. Turn your struggle into your story. Turn your challenge into your character. Turn your setback into your setup. Because that's what champions do. Champions don't need it fair. They just need a chance. And even if the door is closed, even if the opportunity never comes knocking, they build their own door and kick it open. Stop comparing your path to someone else's. You don't know what they've been through, and even if they did have it easier, so what? That doesn't change your mission. That doesn't affect your purpose. Your purpose is yours and yours alone, and life is waiting to see if you're serious about it. So what if life knocked you down? Get back up. So what if you're behind? Start running. So what if you've been dealt a rough hand? Play it with everything you got. Make your name mean something. Make your life count. And when the world sees what you did with the unfair, they won't be able to ignore your power. They won't be able to deny your strength. They'll have to respect your rise. Because you didn't wait for life to be fair. You took what you had and you dominated it. Every time you open your mouth to complain, you're losing time. Real talk. Every second you waste complaining is a second you could have been building. A second you could have been working, planning, growing, becoming. You don't even realize how much time you've already thrown away just by sitting around talking about what's wrong instead of doing something to make it right. Nate, you think venting is helping you? You think talking about how hard life is going to bring the success closer? No. Complaining is a distraction. It's a trap. It's a thief. It robs you of your most valuable resource, time. You got 24 hours in a day, same as everybody else. But while some people are using that time to grind, to level up, to change their future, You're wasting yours talking about what you can't control. Talking about how tired you are. Talking about how unfair life is. Talking about who did you wrong, who overlooked you, who left you out. And while you're talking, somebody else is working. While you're stuck in your story, somebody else is writing a new chapter. And that's why you're still where you are. Not because you're not talented, not because you're not capable, but because you gave your time to negativity instead of productivity. Time doesn't pause for pity. Time doesn't stop because you're upset. Time doesn't slow down because things aren't going your way. It just keeps moving. And if you're not moving with it, you're getting left behind. You're getting left behind. That's the reality. You can feel sorry for yourself if you want to, but the clock's still ticking. You can sit and soak all day long, but life's still moving. Opportunities are passing you by. Goals are collecting dust. Dreams are slipping further away, not because they're impossible, but because you're busy wasting time on things that don't bring results. Some of you spend more time talking about the problem than looking for the solution. You let a 5-minute setback take up 5 hours of your energy. You let one bad morning ruin your whole day, and that's time you can't get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. You don't get to hit rewind. You don't get to do it over. So why are you letting your minutes be filled with complaints when they could be filled with complaints, when they could be filled with commitment? Why are you wasting hours replaying what went wrong when you could be building what's next? You say you want success. You say you want greatness. You say you want to change your life. Then act like it. Respect your time like it matters. Protect your time like it's treasure, because that's what it is. Oh, it's the most valuable thing you've got. And when you complain, you throw it away like it's nothing. You're better than that. You've got too much potential to be wasting your days drowning in negativity. I'm not saying don't feel what you feel. I'm not saying ignore pain or pretend problems don't exist. I'm saying don't live there. Don't set up camp in your complaints. You visit the pain, you process it, and then you get back to purpose. You feel the frustration, and then you fuel the fire. That's how you win. That's how you take control. Not by whining, but by working. You got dreams inside you that need time to grow. You got goals that need time to build. You got a vision that's waiting to be brought to life. And every second you waste on complaining is a second stolen from that vision. It's time you could have used to practice, time you could have used to plan, time you could have used to push yourself one step closer to the finish line. So stop letting the little things eat up big chunks of your life. Stop giving small frustrations the power to derail massive futures. Nobody's going to care how much you complain. Nobody's going to remember how hard it was unless you show them what you did with it. You want to be remembered. You want to leave a legacy. And then show them how you move through struggle without getting stuck in it. Show them how you used every minute, every second, every breath to chase your greatness. Not with excuses, but with execution. There's a version of you that doesn't waste time. There's a version of you that doesn't complain. There's a version of you that uses pain as power and setbacks as setup. You got to tap into that version. You got to protect your time like it's gold, because it is. Your time is your life, and every complaint is costing you more than you know. You can't complain and grind at the same time. They don't mix. One of them has to go. You're either in the fight or you're on the sidelines talking about the fight. You're either putting in the work or you're putting out excuses. You can't do both. It's one or the other. Because grinding takes energy. Grinding takes focus. Grinding takes every ounce of you. And you can't give your full self to the grind if part of you is still whining about how hard it is. Complaining is a distraction. It pulls your energy away from the mission. It takes your focus off the goal. It keeps your mind locked on what's wrong instead of what's possible. And when you live in that headspace, you slow yourself down. You don't even realize it. You think you're venting, but you're actually giving your power away. You think you're just talking, but you're actually losing momentum. Every second you spend complaining is a second you're not building. A second you're not learning. A second you're not growing. The grind requires silence. It requires discipline. It requires tunnel vision. When you're in grind mode, you don't have time to complain because your eyes are locked on the next move. You're focused on how to win, not why you're tired. You're focused on what's next, not what's wrong. And that's what separates the elite from everybody else. It's not that they don't feel pain. It's not that they don't face problems. It's that they don't let those problems become their conversation. They don't feed the problem with attention. They feed the solution with effort. You can't be great and negative at the same time. That greatness you're chasing, it requires positivity. It requires belief. It requires confidence. And complaining drains all of that. Complaining weakens your spirit. It kills your vibe. It makes you forget why you started. But grinding, real grinding, it lifts you up. It builds your character. It sharpens your focus. It brings out the best in you. You got a choice to make every day. You can wake up and talk about how tired you are, how hard it is, how long the road feels. Or you can wake up and take one more step. You can get up, execute. You can get up and train. You can get up and study, build, hustle. You can use that same breath you were going to use to complain and instead use it to speak life into your grind. You can't talk about the problem and work on the solution at the same time. If your mouth is full of complaints, your hands won't be full of results. And if your hands aren't full of results, then your dreams will stay exactly what they are, dreams. You want to bring those dreams into reality, then shut down the noise, shut down the excuses, shut down the negativity, and get to work. You think grinding is just about doing something physical. No, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. And complaining blocks the flow of all three. That's why it feels so heavy when you do it. That's why nothing changes after you vent. Because you're spending your energy in the wrong place. But when you decide to stop talking about how hard it is and start talking about how worth it is, everything shifts. You've got to make the grind louder than the complaint. You've got to let your actions speak so loud that no one even hears your frustration. Let the results talk. Let the progress talk. Let the transformation talk. Because the truth is, the world doesn't respond to your pain. They respond to your power. The world doesn't reward excuses. It rewards execution. When you're locked in on your vision, when you're driven by purpose, when you're chasing something bigger than your emotions, there's no room for complaining. Your mind is too busy creating. Your heart is too full of fire. Your soul is too focused on impact. You become obsessed with building, not whining. And that's when everything starts to move. You can't ride the fence. You got to pick a side, grind or complain, progress or pity, elevate or excuse, but you don't get both. Not if you want to be great, not if you want to win. So make the choice right now. Choose the grind, embrace the struggle, lean into the challenge, let go of the noise, the negativity, the narrative that said you can't, because you can, but only if you stop complaining long enough to prove it. Gratitude changes everything. I'm telling you, when you live with gratitude in your heart, it shifts your whole energy. It shifts your mindset. It shifts the way you approach life, your grind, your relationships, everything. Gratitude is the fuel that keeps you going. When the world gives you every reason to quit, gratitude is what helps you keep showing up even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when you're not seeing results yet. It's more powerful than complaining, because while complaining weakens you, gratitude strengthens you. Some of y'all wake up and the first thing you do is complain. I'm tired. I hate school. I hate my job. Why do I got to do this? But what you don't realize is that your words have power. Your thoughts have power. And when you speak negativity into your day, you're already setting the tone for failure. You're already giving the enemy the upper hand. You're already letting your feeling run the show. But when you wake up and say, thank you, everything shifts. So thank you for this day. Oh, thank you for another shot. Thank you for breath in my lungs. Thank you for the opportunity to get it right. Gratitude opens doors that complaining shuts. Complaining blinds you to the blessings in front of you. You're so focused on what's missing that you don't even see what you got. You got food, you got strength, you got a mind, you got the internet. You got people who love you. Maybe not everybody, maybe not perfectly, but someone. And most of all, you got time. Time to improve, time to change, time to win. That's something to be grateful for. Life's not perfect. You're struggling. You got pain. You got setbacks. You've been through things people don't even understand. But gratitude isn't about pretending everything's okay. It's about acknowledging that even in the storm, there's something good. Even in the darkness, there's light. Even in your lowest moment, you're still breathing. And as long as you're breathing, you got purpose. Gratitude helps you focus on what's possible instead of what's painful. It's easy to complain. It takes no strength to do that. Anybody can say a life isn't fair, it's too hard, or nothing's working. But it takes power to say, I'm hurting, but I'm still grateful. It takes strength to say, I'm struggling, but I'm still here. That kind of mindset is what builds winners. That's what separates the average from the elite. Not who had the best circumstances, but who kept their heart open in the worst ones. You know how I made it. I stopped complaining, and I stopped counting my blessings. I stopped focusing on what I didn't have, and I stopped focusing on what I didn't have. I was homeless, but I was alive. Oh, I was broke, but I was breathing. I didn't have a lot of resources, but I had drive, I had vision, and I had gratitude. And that gave me power. That gave me the strength to get up, to keep going, to push through pain, rejection, disappointment, betrayal. Gratitude was the anchor that kept me from drowning in negativity. You want to change your life? Start with gratitude. Start by finding one thing, just one thing, every morning that you can say thank you for. Then do it again the next day, then the next. And soon your whole mindset changes. You start to notice the good. You start to feel stronger. You stop wasting time complaining because you realize how valuable your time really is. You stop making excuses because you realize how blessed you are just to be here. And when you live like that, when you grind from a place of gratitude, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting for perfect conditions because you're thankful just to have a chance. You stop comparing yourself to other people because you're grateful for your own journey. You stop quitting because you realize how far you already come. Gratitude doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives it purpose. It doesn't erase the struggle, but it gives you the strength to keep fighting. You want to win? You then stop complaining and start giving thanks. Start celebrating the small wins. Start appreciating the journey. Start realizing that even the challenges are shaping you, building you, preparing you for the greatness ahead. You're not here by accident. You're here because there's more in you. Ingratitude is the key that unlocks it. Champions don't complain. Champions adapt. That's the difference. That's what separates those who wish from those who win. That's what sets the greats apart from everybody else. Like throw something at them, and they don't sit there crying about it. They adjust, they shift gears, they pivot, they find a way to keep moving forward. You throw them in the fire, they don't scream about the heat. They figure out how to survive the flame. That's the mindset of a champion. They're not interested in sympathy. They're not looking for excuses. They're not waiting for perfect conditions. They're about one thing: progress. You can't rise to greatness and be fragile at the same time. You can't expect the world to hand you your dream gift wrapped in pain-free. That's not how this works. Champions understand that life is going to test them. They expect resistance. They expect setbacks. They expect the game to shift, the rules to change, the weather to turn against them. And they stay ready. They've trained their mind to adjust. They've trained their heart to endure. They've trained their soul to fight. And that's why they win. Not because everything goes right, but because they stay right even when everything goes wrong. Some of you have got it twisted. You think the grind is supposed to be smooth. You think the road to success is supposed to be straight and well-lit. No, it's bumpy, it's dark, it's unpredictable. But you've got to be built for that. You've got to stop asking for easy and start asking for strength. Stop wishing for comfort and stop building character. Stop waiting for the storm to pass and learn how to move through the rain. Yeah? You can't get better by complaining. Complaining doesn't develop you. It doesn't strengthen you. It doesn't push you forward. All it does is hold you in place while the world keeps turning. And while you're stuck telling everyone how hard it is, someone else is out there working harder. Someone else is figuring it out. Someone else is saying, okay, this is tough, but I'm tougher. You want to be a champion? Then you got to respond like one. That means when your plan falls apart, you don't panic, you adapt. When the doors close, you don't cry, you find another entrance. When you fail, you don't fold, you learn and reload. That's the mentality. That's what it takes. Champions don't complain about the obstacle, they use it. They don't curse the mountain, they climb it. They don't get bitter, they get better. You think life owes you something because you tried. No, try is the beginning, not the end. Champions don't get rewarded just for effort. They get rewarded for execution. They get rewarded because they finish, because they overcome, because they figure it out even when the odds are stacked against them. You've got to stop acting like adversity is unfair. Adversity is the proving ground. It's the place where champions are born. Nobody becomes great by running from hard times. They become great by facing them head on and refusing to back down. And hear me, adapting doesn't mean lowering your standard. It doesn't mean giving up on the dream. It means finding a new way to chase it, a new way to fight for it, a new way to earn it. Champions are creative. They're resourceful. They don't stop just because the first plan didn't work. They don't say, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. They say, all right, let me find another way. That's how winners think. That's how they move. You can't keep complaining and expect to grow. Growth demands that you stretch, that you break, that you shift. It demands that you leave comfort behind and embrace the challenge. Every time something gets in your way, you got a decision to make. Whine or work, fold or figure it out, get mad or get moving. Champions don't hesitate. They move, they adapt. Look at your life right now. Look at the things you've been complaining about. What would happen if you stopped whining and started working? What would happen if you took all that energy and put it into growth, into strategy, into execution? What if instead of saying, this isn't fair, you said, this is fuel? Because that's what champions do. They take the pain, the problems, the pressure, and they turn it into power. You want to win? Then act like it. Move like it. Think like it. Champions don't waste time explaining their struggle. They let their success speak for them. They don't complain. They adapt. And because they adapt, they conquer. Everybody's got an excuse. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a reason why they can't. But I need you to understand something today. The world does not respond to your excuses. It responds to your execution. It doesn't care what you meant to do. It doesn't care what was on your heart. It doesn't care what almost happened. The world is not moved by your intentions. The world is moved by your actions. You can talk all you want, but if there's no results, there's no reward. You can tell everybody your plans. You can write them in a journal. You can post them on social media. But until you do something, they mean nothing. Execution is what separates the average from the elite. It's the difference between potential and power. It's the step that turns a dream into a reality. Because dreaming alone ain't gonna make it happen. Talking about success doesn't make it show up. Excuses don't pay bills. Excuses don't build empires. Excuses don't create change. But execution does. Execution is proof that you meant what you said. It's the evidence of your belief. Some of y'all are addicted to talking about what you're going to do. Next week, I'm going to start. Next month, I'm going to change. This year, I'm going all in. But time keeps passing and nothing changes because you're still explaining, still preparing, still hesitating. Let me tell you something. You can't get new results with the same old behavior. You can't expect a breakthrough if all you do is break your own promises. The world doesn't owe you anything because of what you've been through. Pain doesn't guarantee progress. Struggle doesn't equal success unless you decide to do something with it. I know you've been hurt. I know life hasn't been fair. But if you want something, if you're serious about changing your life, you got to get past the excuses and into action. Because the world ain't going to hand it to you. It responds to the people who show up, the people who do the work, the people who push past fear, past failure, past fatigue, and deliver. Excuses are comfortable. They're easy. That's why most people choose them. It's easier to say it's not the right time than to actually put in the work. It's easier to say, I don't have the resources than to hustle and figure it out. But champions don't let lack stop them. Champions don't let fear block them. Champions execute regardless of the obstacles. They say, this is what I want, and I'm going to make it happen, even if I have to build it from the ground up. You see, when you execute, everything changes. People start to take you seriously. Doors start to open. You begin to attract opportunity. You start to shift your identity. Because when you follow through, you're not just changing your results, you're changing you. You go from being someone who talks about dreams to someone who lives them. You start to trust yourself. You start to believe that you can, because now you've seen yourself do. But the moment you make excuses, you give away your power. You hand your control over to something else. Well, I could because of him. Nah, it ain't because of her. It's their fault. Just this situation is my background. And while you're pointing fingers, someone else is executing. While you're giving reasons, someone else is giving results. You don't get paid off of effort. You get paid off of execution. You don't get remembered for you get remembered for what you did. If you want to stand out in this world, if you want to be great, stop giving excuses and start giving results. Wake up earlier, stay up later, do what others won't, learn what others avoid. Go the extra mile when others quit and keep showing up every single day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it's not convenient, because that's what execution looks like. The most powerful people in the world didn't get there by accident. They executed. They didn't sit around talking about their goals. They worked their goals. They didn't let obstacles become excuses. They turned them into motivation. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They created it by showing up and delivering. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep telling the same story about why it didn't happen? Or are you finally going to make it happen? Because at the end of the day, the world only responds to one thing. Not your reasons, not your pain, not your pain, not your plan, but your execution.